Hi, in our previous topic, we have discussed about impromptu speech. For today, we are going to talk about the informative speech. So, an informative speech is one that intends to educate or to inform the audience on a particular topic. The topics covered in an informative speech should help the audience to understand a subject better and to remember what they learned later. The goal of this type of speech isn't to sway the audience to the speaker's point of view, but just to educate them. There are several instances where you are asked to provide information about yourself, family, school, or any specific topic through a speech. This type of speech is the informative speech whose primary aim is to help your listeners understand and remember the information you present, discuss, or explain. There are different types of informative speech. Generally, there are four types of them. These are speech about objects or people, speech about processes, speech about events, and speech about concepts. So let's talk about first the speech about objects or people. So when we talk about speech about objects or people, generally this focuses on tangible items like gadgets, product, structures, or people. Visual aids may be necessary. For example, one of the examples for a speech about objects or people is a speech about yourself. If you are going to introduce yourself in front of the class, that's an example of an informative speech. Your purpose is to inform the audience about your background, interest, and ambitions. Another example of a speech about a person or people is Sherlock Holmes. Now, we all know that Sherlock Holmes is just a fictional character, but nevertheless, Sherlock Holmes is still a person. So your purpose in discussing or delivering a speech about Sherlock Holmes is to inform the audience about the profile, including traits and abilities of this fictional character. On the other hand, we also have the speech about an object. For example, you wanted to discuss about the new iPhone model. So your purpose could be to inform the audience about the features and capabilities of this new phone model. Another is an informative speech about an object like the Manila Cathedral to inform the audience about the history and geological features of Manila Cathedral. So you see, for the speech about objects or people, we can talk a lot about different things just by discussing an object or people just by looking at their characteristics, their history, etc. So that's the first type of informative speech, speech about objects or people. The next one is speech about processes. So this focuses on a process or sequence of events. Visual aids are also necessary. So for speech about processes, example of these are the YouTube about how to cook a certain a certain recipe. So what the host of the cooking show is doing is he's delivering a speech about a process. Other examples are for first aid. For example, your purpose is to inform your audience on how to give first aid to someone who suffers from an ankle sprain. So that's an example of a speech about process because you are instructing them on how to do a first aid. And then another is short story writing. Your purpose is to inform your audience on how to write a publishable short story. So you're doing a how to write a short story, how to do a first aid. And then the next example is photography. Your purpose could be to inform the audience on how to take good pictures. So you will instruct them how to manipulate their camera from their phones or their DSLR camera. So that's an example too. And another is web design, to inform the audience on how to create basic web designs. So those are examples of speech about processes. The next type of informative speech is speech about events. When we talk about speech of events, of course, it focuses on an event that happened, is happening, or might happen in the future. In short, this is about an event that happened in the past, happening in the present, or will happen in the future. A good example of this is the martial law. We all know that martial law is quite a polarizing topic nowadays, especially in social media. And because Bongbong Marcos, the son of the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos, is is planning to file a candidacy for president or for presidency. And that's why debates about what happened really during the martial law is resurfacing in social media. So when you talk about this, you could inform the audience about the effects of martial law on economy and politics. Now, there are a lot of there are a lot of debate about what really happened during the martial law, and sometimes first-hand experience of people who live through martial law is different from what is really being shown on the data available, because some claims about the martial law is really very fake. And when you will try to discuss this kinds of topic, you have to be objective. When we talk about objectivity, it's all about discussing facts that is available, facts that actually happened by asking people. And there are a lot of things that you can get information from first-hand experience of people who actually lived through the martial law, and the many information available online and the library. If you want to really research about it in a library, then go for it. So that's an example, the martial law, speech about events. Another is an accident. Your purpose could be to inform the audience about what happened when I met with a car accident. So you're going to tell your story about what happened during that accident. If you are one of them, if you're part of that accident, then that's an example of a speech about events. Another is cosplay or costume play. Your purpose could be to inform the audience about the preparations made by cosplayers or costume players. So here you could discuss the preparations done by cosplayers. What do they do? How do they prepare their makeup, their costumes, etc. So that falls under speech about events. And the next thing is the speech about concepts. When we talk about concepts, this focuses on beliefs, knowledge, theories, principles, or ideas. For example, this one, it's about feminism, and we all know one of the main figure or the most popular figure on feminism is Emma Watson. Okay, the he for she movement. So Emma Watson said, if you stand for equality, you're a feminist. I'm sorry to tell you. So feminism is an example of a concept. Other examples are the Big Bang Theory. So when you discuss the Big Bang Theory, your purpose could be to inform the audience about the truth behind the Big Bang Theory. What really happened during the Big Bang Theory? What was involved in that theory? Okay, so that's Big Bang. Another is the Bermuda Triangle. Very interesting. So when you discuss this, your purpose could be to inform the audience about the mystery behind the Bermuda Triangle. Why did a lot of ship and plane suddenly vanish when they pass through that deadly Bermuda Triangle? So that could be a good topic for your informative speech. Another is the public-private partnership, to inform the audience about the advantages and disadvantages of public-private partnership. And lastly, we have feminism, to inform the audience about the feminist perspective on a patriarchal state or government. Alright, so those are the different types of speech. We have the speech about objects or people, speech about processes, events, and lastly, speech about concepts. Our next topic is about the organizational patterns. Same with impromptu speech, informative speech has to follow a certain pattern so that your listeners or audience will not be confused on how you deliver your ideas to them. So it must be organized, and these are some examples of how you can organize your ideas in your speech. So the first one is we have the chronological pattern. This can be used if you want to present a history or evolution or development of your topic in a sequential order from past up to the present, beginning to end. So if your speech is about history or a process, chronological pattern is a good example, or is a good pattern to follow, because your outline will look like this one. Same with the impromptu speech or with other essays, we always have the introduction. In your introduction, you have to have the attention getter. Remember, the attention getter must hook your listeners or audiences to your message. You must get the attention of your listeners, as said in the title, attention getter. And then after that, you have to state your thesis statement or your main point. What's your main idea? What's your main argument? What will happen in your speech? Your main point, your thesis statement. And then after the introduction, now you have the body. This is where the magic happens, because this is the very gist of your speech. So you could put there the step 1 up to whatever step you like, or the first, second, third, and fourth, or finally. So this is how you organize your speech or your body. And then after that, after delivering the sequence from past to present or beginning to end, we will now have the conclusion. It's important to conclude your speech. You have to summarize your points and give a memorable statement. You can give your memorable statement by summing up the points or giving a good quote. You may quote you may quote a person that, or an idea that is connected with your topic. So that's it, memorable statement. Alright, so wait, let's see. Here's an example of a speech outline. The topic is about the paz. It's a speech about an event. And the purpose is to inform the audience about one of the greatest tragedies in history, the past. For the thesis statement, from a tragedy to the movie screen, the sinking of the past is considered as one of the greatest tragedies in history. So for introduction, the attention getter is, let me share you a story about one of the greatest tragedies and tests of human faith. And the thesis statement goes like this. From a tragedy to the movie screen, the sinking of the past is considered as one of the greatest tragedies in history. And then the body, here it is. I will not read it one by one. You may just read it in our Google Drive. It's available in your module. Or you may just read the PowerPoint. Okay, so that's how you organize your speech. We have the body now. It's organized in a chronological order because it's a historical event. Okay, and then the conclusion, the worst tragedy in C become the most successful movie. And then the memorable statement is, the tragic story I shared at the start of my speech was actually the true story of the past. It is a story that will forever remain in our hearts. So that's the conclusion. And it's an example of a chronological pattern. Right. The next pattern that we will discuss is called the spatial or topical or categorical pattern. This is used if you want to inform your audience about the main features, descriptions, or categories of your topic. So your outline will look like the following. Introduction is the same with the previous example of a pattern. We have the attention getter and thesis statement or main point, and it only differs in the body because it's no longer about the chronological order but the categories or features of your main point or main topic. So it's divided into feature A, B, C, D, and then after stating the feature, you have to describe it. Describe the feature A. And then that's the first category, and so on and so forth. Later on, I will give an example. And conclusion, the same with the previous example. Summary of the points and memorable statement. Here's an example. So the example is about theories of development. It's a speech about a concept. Your purpose is to inform the audience about the different development models. The thesis statement is the development can be defined depending upon a theoretical approach. So the introduction here is, the first is disagreement of scholars on the development of concept, and the main point is the theoretical approaches of development. So that's the main topic. The body, we have the first feature, modernization of Green Revolution. Second is the next feature, the integrated rural development. As you can see here, the main point, the theoretical approaches of development in the body, it describes the many features of those theoretical approaches of development. Or should I say, it's many examples. Theoretical approaches of development. What are these theoretical approaches of development? First one is modernization of Green Revolution. Second is integrated rural development. Next is participatory development, etc., etc. So, unlike the sequence in our previous example, this one explores the many concepts under the main point, which is the theoretical approaches of development. So it gives many features or examples of those theoretical approaches. Okay, so I hope you get the gist of this example. Another example. Wait, let me think. Why feminism is important in today's society. So that's an example of a speech about a concept, okay? So it's a speech about a concept. It's feminism. Why feminism is important about today's society. So, in your body, you can discuss that concept by first underlining the many problems caused by patriarchy. So you state there the inequality of wages among men and women, and then abuse of women, etc., etc. So, okay. So those are the things, or those are some suggestions on how you will explore the topic. Why we should forget the topic. So it's about feminism. Okay. After it, we we already discussed about the spatial, topical, categorical pattern. Now let's talk about the cause effect pattern. This one is very easy. So this can be used if you want to show the causal or causal, it should be causal relationship of an event or phenomenon. So your outline will look like this. Same with the previous one, introduction, attention getter, thesis statement, or main point highlighting the cause of an event or phenomenon. So here, you are going to state the main point highlighting the cause. What is the cause of that phenomenon? And for the body, you will enumerate the many effects of those phenomenon. Effect A, B, C, D, etc., etc., and the conclusion, summary of points, and memorable statement. Unlike the chronological and what do you call this, categorical patterns, cause-effect pattern has a lot of variation. So the example discussed here has other variation. Okay, let's see. Here's the single effect multiple causes pattern. So it only differ in the body and introduction part. So for the introduction, as always, attention getter, thesis statement, or main point highlighting the cause of an event or phenomenon. And then the body, it has a lot of causes. We have cause A, B, C, and D. Compared to the previous one, which is the effect A, B, C, D. We have the causes. For the next one, the multiple cause, multiple effects. So, same with the introduction, the thesis statement or main point highlighting the multiple causes and effects of an event or phenomenon. So, in the body, you discuss first the cause A, cause B, and cause C, and so on and so forth. And then after discussing the causes, you also discuss the many effects. Effect A, B, C, so on and so forth. And then the next one is we have the domino effect. In the domino effect, as always, you have the attention getter, and then in the second part, this is statement or main point stating the domino effects of an event or phenomenon. In the body, you state first the cause, and then state its effect, and then state the next cause, and then its effect, and so on and so forth. That's why it's called the domino effect, because the structure is cause effect, cause effect, cause effect. Okay. Here's a sample speech outline under the cause effect pattern. So the topic is the traffic mismanagement in Metro Manila. Your purpose here is to inform the public about the cause effect of traffic mismanagement. The type of your speech is the speech about an event, and the pattern is single cause, multiple effects. Why single cause, multiple effects? It's because the single cause is the traffic, and the traffic has different effects. Okay, so for introduction, snippets of anecdotes on Carmageddon in various streets in Metro Manila. So you will tell a story or an anecdote, or many stories about what happened during the Carmageddon in Metro Manila. And then for the second part, economic, social, and political effects of traffic mismanagement. For the body, you state the effect of traffic in economy. And then the next one is social effect. And then the third one is political effect. So as you can see here, the pattern is very apparent because we all know that the cause is the traffic, and with the traffic comes different effects in economy, social, political, etc., etc. And look at this. At the conclusion, you summarize what you said in the body, traffic management and its effects, and for what you call this memorable statement, you say that Metro Manila as gates of hell. For the next pattern, we have what we call the comparison contrast pattern. I think this is the last pattern here. Comparison contrast pattern. So this can be used if you want to compare objects, events, or concepts, underscoring their similarities and differences, as stated in its title, Compare, Contrast. Your outline will look like this one. So for introduction, as always, we have the attention getter. It's always steady. And then for the thesis statement or main point, highlighting the causes of an event or phenomenon. And for the body, here's the what makes it unique with other patterns. You will state the object or event or the first concept that you will compare and contrast. So for the under it, you compare point A, compare point B, and compare point C. And for the second part of the body, you state the object, event, or concept B, the second concept. So compare point A, compare point B, compare point C. So what you will do in the first part is introduce the first concept and state the comparison point. What are the things that you are comparing? And then the next part of the body, the second concept or event that you will compare. And then state what are those comparison points. Comparison point A, point B, point C. And for conclusion, summary of points and memorable statement. There's another variation of that pattern too. Same with the cause-effect pattern. The point by point. This one is a lot easier. As always, we have the introduction, attention getter, and then the thesis statement or main point highlighting the causes of an event or phenomenon. For the body, so you will state the comparison point A. So it's the characteristic or the comparison point of first the object A or concept or event A, and then the next one is the object or event or concept B. And then the next one is comparison point B, that should be B, and then comparison point C. So in this kind of format, you will start with the characteristic or the comparison point. That's what we call it, comparison point. And then you compare now the different concept, event, object. Comparison A and then B. You will understand this better in the next example. Okay, so this is an example. Okay, so the topic is the US television series versus Philippine television series. So that's what we will compare. US TV versus Philippine TV series. Your specific purpose is to compare television series in two countries, the US and the Philippines. And your pattern is comparison contrast, black. Your thesis statement is that the TV series in the US and Philippines are different in terms of casting, originality of storylines, and quality of production. So that's what I've been telling you about. That's what you call the comparison point A, B, C. So for example, comparison point A is casting, B is originality of storylines, and C is quality of production. So as always, introduction, the popularity of TV series, and then comparing TV series in two countries. Here's the body. So first, you discuss first the US TV series by casting, originality of storylines, production quality, and then the second part of your body is the Philippine TV series, and then you will discuss too its casting, originality of storylines, and production quality. And for conclusion, you will tell the comparative points of TV series in the US and the Philippines. And for the memorable line, you say that addiction to TV and its political relevance. Okay, so I hope you learned something from our topic, informative speech. I will leave an activity. Here's the task. You have to create an informative speech outline. It must have first a topic, and then specific purpose, then next is pattern, and then the outline, like the introduction, body, and conclusion. For your example, refer to the sample speech outline in the previous pages. Since our midterm requirement in my subject is a recorded speech, it's best if you will create an outline for your speech for midterm, for you to be able to save time and effort, because that's the easiest thing to do, and it will make your job easier if you have prepared an outline. Now, you don't have to submit it to me. All you have to do is to write it in your journal. I will look for your outline, speech outline, in your journal. Okay, let me repeat. Your outline will not be submitted to me right away. I will have to look for it in your journal. Therefore, it is not that urgent, but it will really help you if you will create an outline now before you create a prepared speech for your midterm requirement. Okay? So that's it for today. I hope you learned something, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Thank you so much for listening, and bye!